Okay, so now we go to the next tab, which is parameters tab. In parameters tab, we have some of these fields. One is the draw box material. This is just the material that you want for your draw box. Like if you want a maple, you want a Baltic birch, or you want a Baltic birch in a blind dado. So blind dado is just a different way of construction. Dovetail is the more popular one, and the maple is the most popular one. So by default, I would pick always maple dovetail. So these are really nice draw boxes. Next, valance is nothing but it is basically the gap between below the wall cabinet where you can conceal some light or any other picture. So by default, this is concealed. Many times people may want a little bit bigger one, then you can do 1.75. If it is an exposed, that means the doors don't overlap. So let me show you what are concealed balances. So if I go to um, let me close this out here. So this is called the valance. If you look at here, you see the door has a gap here. So the door kind of comes below the door, below the cabinet by 1.5 inches. And then you add a trim. If I get rid of the door, what happens is you will add like a 1.5-inch finish trim here, and then you will get the gap. So when I say 1.5, that means the door will overhang by 1.5. So when I put the doors back, you see that there's a you don't see the valance, right? So that is called a concealed valance. But if you see a small strip here after the door, that's called an exposed valance. So in this case, we design most of our cabinet as a concealed valance, right? So that means we have always have a gap. Okay. Now let's get back to this one. And then valance threshold. This is basically what is the height of the cabinet that has to be minimum before which you add a valance to it. Now, let's say if I do a 24, that means it says any cabinet that is larger than 24 in height, it should have a valance. That means make the doors a little bit bigger by 1.5 inches like this one, if a cabinet is greater than 24. So if you look at this drawing again, right, now I have a valance here and I have a valance here, but I don't have a valance here. That's because this is a cooktop cabinet and you're going to have a put here. So you don't really need a valance here. So that is the reason. So that means I'm assuming that this cabinet is going to be under 24 inches. So don't give a valance. Similarly, for a fridge cabinet, you don't need a valance because you don't need a light valance below the fridge cabinet. Okay. Now let's get back to this one. Color wedge banding can be anything, gray, blue, or if you know the edge band color, you can put the color. If it is multiple, you can put multiple colors, or you can just put one like. Then wall and tall cabinet reveal. This is basically how much reveal you need at the top so that your crown can sit on top of it. Now, if I look at this cabinet here again, so here, if I want to put a cabinet here, like on top of this one, like a crown, then I don't want the crown rubbing against the door. So what I want to do is I want the door to be 1/8 below. If I can show that if I just look at this one, yeah, if I do go in deeper, you can see that just to one. If I go in deeper, you can see that this gap, this door is just 1/8 below the top part of the cabinet. So that makes, if I can actually put a crown right on top of the door and my door will not rub against it, plus we get an 1/8 reveal. So that is what this means. Wall and tall cabinet reveal is 0.125. Sometimes you want the reveal to be a little bit bigger because of the crown, so you can adjust it. But by default, this is what it is. Now, zero protrusion hinge is basically how much do you want to put spaces between your drawer uh, and the cabinet or not. So I can show you again. If I go to a cabinet here, Now, this cabinet is a base cabinet. So if I take the doors out, you see this? The drawer box is all the way to the corner, all the way to the wall of the cabinet, right? So that means I have to install the doors with a special hinge that can open the doors completely so that the drawers can slide out. So that is what it's called. So that special hinge is actually a zero protrusion hinge. And that is what we pick. So if you pick spacer, then what happens is you have to add an inch in spacer and you can go ahead and use the regular hinges. That will save you a little bit of cost, but from the design perspective, a zero protrusion hinge is very better. So that is a default option. Okay, thank you.